Hello everyone, it's Melanie here with Vintage Hill Studio. I have a sweet little thank you card to share with you today. It's dimensional. Here's what it looks like. And just an FYI, I have these from a recycle, repurpose, reuse shop. They're actually paint swatches. It's called a fan deck. These are by Glidden and DeVoe. And I guess when they get new colors every year, they throw away these little swatches. But look at this, y'all. So the variations of color are fabulous. One stage to the next on the shades, like in this little green fan deck. So it makes coordinating your colors so much easier. Oh my goodness, if these are just headed to the trash, try to grab some. This would be from the big paint stores, not the big box stores like Home Depot or Lowe's that just have the little single sheets that look like a bookmark. No, these are fan decks. But you can see I'm going to be working from this today on this project. Here's what the front of the card looks like and the back. So again, it's not double-sided, but if these are just one-dimensional cards you're working on, you might want to consider picking up some of these decks. I'll be using this 7-piece die set from Spellbinders. It's actually called Bouquet of Flowers. This is my first time using these dies for a card, and off camera I ran those little fan deck sheets through the die cutting machine, and look at these variations of the colors. Isn't that gorgeous? But you can see how many flowers you get. These were out of 4 of those little cards, all of those flowers. So let's get started putting this little card together. Now just an example, I'm going to show you. I pull one of these sheets out of the fan deck, place it on my die cutting machine, and then I will use the large flowers, the smaller flowers, and also those centers. And I'll do that 4 times for each one of these little sample sheets, and I get a ton of flowers and centers. As you could see from the previous viewing there, you could see how many you can cut at one time, and then you just pick your various shades and you've got everything you need to work from to put this card together, plus probably more than you ever need. But anyway, that's how quickly that goes, and so you just repeat this going down the card at least 4 times, and before you know it, you have that whole plethora of colorful flowers for your bouquet. Alright, so here is that little paper piece that holds the flowers. I thought I would try to mimic the newsprint look. So that's what I'm doing here, except I'm using an old book page, because not much of this shows when you get it all folded and put together. Run that through. This actually leaves some score lines, but I can't see them very well on this printed book page. So I'm laying this in here, and I'm kind of following the picture that's on front of the die set there to get an idea of where to fold these, because really I can't see the fold lines. I mean, why go the easy route when you can make this harder on yourself by using like a text print instead of a solid piece? Alright, you can see here I needed to flip this around, again taking a look at the die there and the fold lines, and then also the picture that's included with the packaging. Any help I can get is what I'm going for right here. Right, now look at all of these flowers and centers. I have so much to choose from, and because these are so close in color, they all are going to coordinate very nicely for my bouquet. So this makes putting this project together so easy if you get all this little detail work done first. This is just a little wax pencil that I picked up at a scrapbooking convention, and it really picks up and releases pretty easily. So that's what that white colored pencil is. It's not a colored pencil per se, you know, for your artwork. It's actually for picking up little pieces and releasing it. Okay. So I'm just going to do a few of these and get these put on these stems. I guess that's what this stem is for. I can't really see that in the packaging, but I'm thinking this is where the flowers go. So for my project, that's where the flowers are going. Look how cute that turns out. All right, and then you got this tiny little heart, and I cut that out of another orange color to coordinate with my flowers, just trying to keep the color palette very simple. And then I'll work on getting this put into the paper. Now I decided instead of gluing behind my flower stems or the leaves, I'm just going to place a little glue down into this paper holder. And that leaves my flowers and stems up toward the top kind of free, so I can work behind and front, move things around. If I were to glue this down, then you're kind of done, right? So leave yourself a little wiggle room sometimes by leaving some of your focal points free. Tack down the bottom that's not going to show and leave the rest of it without adhesive, and see how that works for you. Alright, just getting this tucked in, and I can fret around with this like I do with a real flower arranging. Just moving it around, seeing how it looks, going back at it. Just do what works for you. That's what works for me, is fretting around with stuff a little bit. Why does it take so long to do cards? Well, here is why, if you have this hang up like I do. Alright, coming together very well. And then if I need to tuck in more greenery, like I want some of these stems to show from the bottom of this little paper holder. So I cut off some stems. Don't be afraid to cut up some of your die cuts here if you need to. And I'll tuck those other pieces in a little later. Then I'm simply going to add a little bit of foam tape, and this gave me so much trouble getting this release paper off of these little bitty squares. Anyway, I'm going to add a little foam tape behind a couple of these flowers so they're not laying flat one on top of the other. I do want to add a little dimension, but not too much bulk for male. So again, I'm adding a little bit of dimension behind just a couple of the flowers in the forefront here, and I'm also going to add a dimensional to the actual paper holder, the bouquet holder, just so it stands away from the flowers the tiniest bit. So sometimes the little details make a big difference. So I guess back in the day, when people sold flowers from carts on the street, and they would always wrap them in paper, and you know, fishmongers too, right? They wrapped the fish in paper. I guess that was recycling way back in the day. Very resourceful. So I'm trying to go back to that look here with this book page as far as my paper wrapper around my bouquet. Because you know I love my recycle, repurpose, reuse projects, so this is a nod to recycling here. Okay, because I can't leave anything alone, I go back and tuck in a few more sprigs of this greenery. As you can see, I have plenty to work with, so I'm not being stingy with my greenery. But sometimes I don't need the whole piece. So that's why I'm using just pieces and parts to tuck in here and there to whatever looks visually appealing to me. Alright, just fiddling with this a bit more and I'll be about done with this. So back to those big paint stores, if you go by and visit them, ask them what they're going to do with all those paint swatches at the end of the year when they get their new little fan decks in. Maybe you'll come home with some free fan decks of your own, and I think you will find them very, very useful just because of the color variation. Okay, as always, all the supplies and dimensions will be listed on my YouTube channel here. If you just scroll below this video, you will see all the supplies and dimensions that were used for today's card. I have this little scripty thanks. I took another color of orange and thought that looked really good with my bouquet. I'm going to get this centered up using my grid mat to help me. I can't tell you how many times this grid mat has come in so handy, just following those horizontal and vertical lines there to help me with placement on things. Get that tacked down pretty well here. Now I did put some adhesive behind the leaves as well as that paper wrapper. And we're about done with this card today. If you see any other areas after you get this put down on the front of your card that need a little bit of dimension or a little more color, add them in now. Now's your chance. So Just because you've kind of finished your card doesn't mean it's completely finished, right, folks? That finishes my card for today. You can see the dimension here. I love the way this turned out. I'm so happy you dropped by to visit me today. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'd love to hear comments from you. Anything you want to drop me a note about, go ahead. And if you're new to the channel, I would love to have you as a new subscriber. So if you're looking from your laptop, you can subscribe anywhere during the video or just scroll down and hit that subscribe button. Happy crafting, everybody!